stepping out. It's Friday night, how I'm longing for this day.
Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, Single Mother by Choice. My name is Martine, and welcome to my 14-week bump date. Let's get into it. Up to this point, before I hit the 14-week mark, things were generally moving okay. Like, there was a little bit of drama. If you don't know, you can check out my last bump date. But generally, I was feeling better. Tired, but better. So, move forward to 14 weeks, and I went to work. I think it was right at 14 weeks, actually. I went to work, and a student who hadn't been feeling well went to hug me. It was nothing obviously malicious, They were just excited. It was Regents Week, and I hadn't seen them in a while. They're like, oh, Miss Martine. After she hugged me, I then heard her coughing and blowing her nose. So I'm like, are you sick? And she's like, oh yeah, I'm just getting over something. I'm like, oh, okay. But literally that night, my throat started feeling sore. And then the following day, I started to sneeze. And again, my throat was just feeling, that tightness you get when you're just about to get a sore throat or just get a cold. So I felt that. And so Wednesday is the day that I think I contracted something. Thursday I went to work. Was starting to feel a little bit more off, but not crazy. But the following day, oh boy, I shouldn't have gone to work, basically. I didn't really sleep well. That's the other thing. Starting at around 13, 14 weeks, I forgot to mention in the last video, but around this time, I've also since this time have experienced sleepless nights, and I don't know why. So I'll fall asleep, but then I'll wake up maybe 4 hours later, and then I can't sleep for 2 to 3 hours, and I'll sleep again for maybe an hour, and then I have to get up for work. So I've had these broken up sleeping patterns. And so I thought, okay, I really didn't sleep well last night. That's why I'm feeling this way. But it was accompanied by more nasal congestion than usual, because I've been somewhat lightly congested throughout. But this was I had to blow my nose quite a lot. I was definitely feeling broken down, and I was hot but had the chills, which obviously meant that I had a fever. But because I'm not a very good patient, I hate going to the doctor. I hate I'm always in denial about being sick. So I was like, no. People were even asking me you should, even my mom, I was texting her back and forth that day. She's like, you should really go have your temperature taken or something. And I was like, no, I don't have a temperature. I was just so resistant. So I made it through the day. I was exhausted. And then I went home and just progressively just felt worse. Actually, another important part I'm leaving out. That morning that I was so sick and I should have stayed home, it was a Thursday. As I was on the train, and this happened to me a year and a half ago, but I think it was somewhat of a mini anxiety attack. But this definitely was not that, but it kind of felt that way. So I was on the train. I was on my way into Brooklyn, and we were maybe 15 minutes or 10 minutes away from getting to the terminal in Brooklyn, and suddenly it was packed. For some reason, the train was super delayed or whatever, so there were a lot more people than usual on the train. The train was packed like sardines, and I suddenly felt myself starting, my breathing was quickening, and I was getting hot. And so I went to unzip the top of my coat just to let some air in, and every time the train stopped, I was standing by the doors. I would just breathe in as much cool air as possible. But still, at some point, the train wasn't making any more stops until we got to the terminal, which is, quite a few minutes away. And I then started to panic, because I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting progressively hotter. I feel like I'm going to pass out or throw up. I was getting nauseous and I started panicking. So immediately I like unzipped some more. I didn't take my coat off because it was hard to do anything with the train being so packed. So I went into my bag. I was like quickly looking for like something for me to throw up in because I'm like, I cannot puke on these people. This is going to be a bad situation. And I started panicking because I couldn't find anything in my bag. I'm like, God, I feel like I'm going to throw up or pass out or both. And I was just overheated. And then I looked around me and I was like, I said to the people around me, I'm like, I'm going to be sick. I'm going to be sick. And they immediately just were like, okay, calm down, take some deep breaths. They're like, take off your coat. So finally, like, I put my bag down, I took off the coat, and they're like, we're going to be at the station in a few minutes. Just take deep breaths. And I saw this woman in the corner of my eye. She was just like staring at me. I'm like, lady, I'm about to pass out and get sick. And why are you staring at me? You're making me more uncomfortable. And I kept looking at her like back and forth, like, why are you looking at me? As I'm panicking and trying to breathe. So finally we get to the station. I did not get sick or pass out. I immediately just like got off the train. The people on there were like really nice, just trying to calm me down. And the woman who was staring at me actually came up to me and she's like, hi, I'm a physician's assistant, and I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. She was trying to see if I was going to need her assistance or like just make some kind of like eye contact to let me know, like, but anyway. But she's like, I'm a physician's assistant. Are you okay? And I'm like, no, like, I just feel really dizzy and like I'm gonna be sick. And then I'm like, I'm pregnant. And she said, oh, yeah, I thought so. And she just gave me some pointers and some tips. And she's like, you really need to get like some mint or some mint tea. So anyway, I went and sat down for a while. I texted my job and let them know, like, I'm running late. The train was delayed and like I'm not feeling well. So that's how that day started. And then it progressively just got worse in the sense that I was, again, sore throat, just not feeling well all day, felt very weak and tired. So by the time I did get home, I just gave in and I'm like, you know what? I really need to take my temperature. I need to stop being in denial. And when I did take my temperature, it was like 100.6. So my mom's like, you definitely have a fever. You need to stop playing around. Go get the list the doctors gave you. And I looked up which medications were safe for me to take, and I saw I could take Tylenol, so I started taking Tylenol. I immediately in the morning just like texted my job and was like, listen, I'm sick, I have a fever, I can't come in. Still hadn't gone to the doctor though, because I was like, I'll be fine. And my mom's like, I think you have the flu. And I said, no, I don't have the flu. It's just like a cold or, I'm fine. But I took the Tylenol, fever would go away, it would come back and forth, but it never got back up to 100.6 again. It ever only got up to like 99 point something. So finally, Friday I called out. Finally on Sunday, because I still wasn't feeling well, on Sunday I went to the urgent care near my house, and they did the quick flu test, and I was like, oh, that's not gonna come back. I'm so cocky and like in denial, but I was like, that's gonna be negative. And of course, like almost immediately, it's supposed to take 15 minutes, but almost immediately the nurse looked and she's like, I'm not supposed to tell you this, but you totally have the flu. And I was like, damn it, this whole time I've had the flu. But really, the doctor came in, they prescribed me Tamiflu, and also because I was wheezing a bit, and I've had lung issues in the past. Doesn't help that I've been smoking since I was 12. At that point, it didn't help me at all. My lungs have always kind of been like the weak spot in my body. So they also prescribed me albuterol so that I could, take it as needed. And I think I only used it once after that because I was coughing and like nothing was coming up and I was still wheezing. So I did take it once, and I checked with my doctor's office as well, my OB, and they said it was fine. And and they gave me the Tamiflu, but I opted not to take it because the doctor told me at the urgent care, told me like it can make you nauseous and here are all the side effects. And I'm like, it only shortens the flu by a day. So for me at that point, I was halfway through from the first day I got sick to the time I went to the doctor. I was like halfway through getting over the flu, and I'm like, at this point, does it matter, you know? So I didn't take it, but I still took the prescription and whatever, just in case. So that was my 14th week. I was laid up in bed. Thank God the fever never got crazy, but I definitely was exhausted. And again, I had so much trouble sleeping because at night, so on top of just lately, I've just not been sleeping well. At night is when I would like cough a lot and, you know, just, it was uncomfortable to sleep. So, yeah, week 14 was just a hot mess. But I survived. I made it through. And I did share that I was sick, and that's why I hadn't been back yet on YouTube. So, and a lot of people were just so nice and left a lot of like supportive comments and so on. So I suggest you go onto my Instagram. I'll link it down below just so you can keep up with me, because sometimes I seriously am so tired after a week of work that on Saturday, like, I just cannot leave my bed before a certain time. And then the whole day is basically wasted. And I'm like, oh, and I have to go put on my wig. I have to put on makeup. Like, it just doesn't, you know, work a lot of times for me now on the weekends. But, you know, I'm happy to be back, and I do appreciate all the kind words and just the supportive comments. So appreciate that. That was my week 14. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more videos and just to keep up with my pregnancy. And also don't forget to go to my Instagram and see what's going on there. But that's it for now. I'll see you next time. Ciao, everybody.
Stepping out, it's Friday night. How I'm